structure here that's in the middle, that's gonna be the trabeculae. So that was B. Here, let me try out that one.
Oh, yeah.
That's better. Alright, so the first one is gonna be what?
White pulp.
White pulp, yes. So the little circles are gonna be white pulp. That is where we have our white blood cells. That's that lymph node immune function of the spleen. And then 2 is gonna be the trabeculae. Everything else is red pulp, right? Okay, moving on to number 3. So you've got a couple hints here. These are arrows going in. These are arrows coming out. You always think E for exit. So what would 3 be?
Afferent.
Afferent. And then what would 5 be?
Capsule.
Efferent.
Afferent.
Oh.
Yeah, 4 is capsule, yes. So 4 is capsule. 5 is going to be E for exit, so efferent vessels. Okay. All right, number 6. What are lymph nodes grouped in the neck?
Cervical.
Cervical. What about the groin?
Pelvic.
Inguinal. Yeah, so they're inguinal. The other one are gonna be your lumbar, but they're not. They're upper, kind of more upper in the back, little above the inguinal in the lower back. So these are gonna be inguinal. They're groin related. And then so these are axillary. These are cervical. These are inguinal. What is that organ that's right here?
Spleen.
Spleen.
The only thing I know.
And what is the beginning of the thoracic trunk? That's going to be this kind of big, you can't really see it too well in this picture, but that big sac.
Is this a chili?
Yeah, there we go. Exactly. So this word. I can never pronounce it right. Alright, so number 9, what are these?
That's meatus.
So meatus would be the holes. These are the kind of little turbines. So these are going to be the nasal
Concha.
So these are going to be the little bones that you have. They're covered in mucous membrane, and they kind of help increase air turbulence to kind of ensure that all the air that you're breathing in hits up against the mucous membrane. We talked about that mucociliary escalator where we're trapping things in mucus. Those ciliated cells are moving it towards the throat. So yeah, these are going to be this one, A. What about 10?
Uvula.
Yeah, so it could be uvula or it could also be the soft palate. So on that one, because it is on the tip, I'm going to give either of those. So soft palate or the uvula. Because the uvula is the one that hangs down all the way to the back of the throat, but it starts off with the soft palate, so both of those are right. What about 11?
The vocal.
Vocal cord,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So it's whenever, because I was making my key right now, so whenever I was going through it, I was looking for glottis, right, but it wasn't there. So vocal cord, right, was the only other option, right? So those cords will tense up or relax, and those vibrations aid in making your voice. All right, for number 12, what is this cartilage here?
Cricoid.
The thyroid, yes. So thyroid, think Adam's apple for, you can kind of feel it on yourself if you're a girl, but it's not very
Prominent.
pronounced. But yeah, so this would be your thyroid cartilage, and the one below,
Is the
that's
curve
big, it's not
one.
part of the C-shaped rings on the trachea. This is going to be the cricoid.
Okay.
What bone is that?
Hyoid.
Hyoid. What is the little flap on the back?
The epiglottis.
Epiglottis. Yeah. All right. If you remember cardiovascular, this should have been easy. What is the red one?
Vein.
Vein.
Vein. What is the blue one?
Artery.
Artery. Yes. Exactly. And these are little alveoli with the capillary beds associated with them. Okay. So what is this big organ right here?
Trachea.
Trachea. So remember, once these branch out, this is going to be those primary main bronchi. So 17 is going to be a primary bronchi. then they're named based on the division. So this, right, these would be secondary when they branch out. So these two right here. These would be secondary, these would be secondary. So what would we think 18 is?
Tertiary.
Tertiary. Alright, so this is where our anatomical landmarks kind of help. What would this one be?
Superior.
Superior lobe, right? And this is a fissure that's at an angle. What would we call
Oblique.
that?
Oblique.
Oblique. What about when it's
Horizontal.
horizontal? So horizontal fissure, oblique fissure, superior lobe, inferior. Okay, this one, 32. I had to cover up the endocrine stuff because the answer was on there. But what is landmark terminology would have helped with this one too. What is 32?
Suprarenal gland.
Yeah, suprarenal gland. Not part of the urinary system, but just on top of it. This was pointing, I had to look in very closely, but it's pointing to the red one. What would that be?
Abdominal aorta.
Right, it's pointing right here. Renal artery. So the line is horrible, I'm sorry. Yeah, so this was pointing to the renal artery, but yes, that's the abdominal aorta. So I'll give you that one, if you see that.
So it's the renal artery.
Okay. Ooh, and I went backwards, okay. For 30, what is that?
Ureter.
Ureter, and then what is the muscle that makes up the wall of the bladder?
The detrusor.
Detrusor, and what is 31 that kind of looks like what both of these look similar? So it's gonna be this one.
Ureteral opening.
Ureteral opening, right? This one's urethral opening, which is
Oh.
this one. So yeah, 31 was C. And these are all out of order, my bad. Okay, what is 25? It's feeding into that glomerular. Afferent arterial. So think alphabetically, right? A before E, E is your exit, right? So A is afferent arterial. What is 26? It's pointing to the nephron.
A PCT.
PCT. And then we're going down. We know this is called a loop. Yeah, loop of Henle, loop, whatever you want to call it. Just no loop, right? It's multiple choice. And then we're going down. What is that part?
A collecting duct.
Collecting duct. Yep. Alright. What vein is this? This one's the cortical radiate. This one's that arcuate. Remember? When that arcs over. So if we're looking at this, right? Right, this one is the one that arcs over, and then all of these are the cortical radiate that feed into the nephrons. Okay, so what is 22?
Pyramid.
Pyramid, renal pyramid. If it's pointing in between, those are the columns, right? So this is
Mhm.
going to be the pyramid. And if it was pointing, okay, so let me say, if it's pointing to like this section, like it's got like a little bracket, then that would be the cortex, and if it's got a bracket, it'll be the medulla on the inside. But this is just pointing to the single pyramid itself. What would 23 be?
Cortex.
Oh, and then I just kind of messed that up, right? So yeah, this would be the cortex. So 22 will also be, because it does, if that's the cortex, then that could be the medulla as well. It's 22. Okay. What is 24?
The pelvis.
Pelvis. Okay. All right, so we'll go over